Hello, loves. Hello, hello. Hills here from the Blue Flame. How are we all doing? Happy equinox. We have come into the new year. We are moving into all kinds of new energy now. Mercury has stationed direct on top of the North Node, and we have this period of fiery forward momentum that we're in now. Let's start there, shall we? We're going to talk about this week, which is, we could call it like the 22nd of March through the 27th of March. We'll play in that time frame, shall we? Mercury on the equinox on the 20th or 21st, depending on your location, when all of the clocks move where you are located. Almost exactly 5 hours after the peak of the equinox, as the sun moved into the axis mundi, that 0 point of Aries, stationed direct, bringing with it all of the planets in our solar system into forward movement. Every planet, the big names anyways, is now moving forward. We have some asteroids, of course, moving backwards, and the nodes always move backwards. Well, always. This period of forward momentum takes us all the way into and through that holiday that is known as Cinco de Mayo, the 5th of May. On the 6th, thereabouts, 6th or 7th, depending on your location, Pluto will shift retrograde in Aquarius, and we will start that quote unquote retrograde season. Okay? But this period that we're in right now, we have a passionate, fiery, fueled wind at our backs. We could liken this to pulling the cord on a hot air balloon that allows it to come soaring higher and farther, right? That warm, hot blue flame that creates that pillow of warm air inside the balloon that carries it on. In the last update, I called the equinox, that Pisces new moon, into the Aries equinox, our time of rising. And so much of what we have been talking about here has been that we have been clearing away for the first part of this year so far, all of those things which were keeping us from standing fully and firmly in our light, feeling safe and secure to do so. Now, as we come into this period of new walking, of newfound belonging, we are finding the sun first crossing through Neptune at one of Aries, and this is going to occur between 21 and 22. So when you're watching this, it may have already happened. But of course, the energy is running for the whole week. Okay? First, the sun passes through Neptune, and we find ourselves also working with the energy of the Super Galactic Center, which is at 2 of Libra across the way. The Super Galactic Center helps us to feel, well, let's take a moment, let's take a beat and feel the galactic center, that point at 26 of Sagittarius. We're going to get to some more stuff going on there as well this week. The galactic center connects us into the home, our place, our center in the local sphere, we could say, in the local sphere, in the Milky Way. The supergalactic center is the center of the galaxies which are in our galactic neighborhood. So not only are we connecting through Venus and some other things that we're going to get to in a minute. To the galactic center, our center, we can read this as, and the sun, our soul star, is also a connection to that center of gravity, the solar plexus, our will, our power, our outward expression. So as the sun then moves across Neptune, shamanic visioning, dream states, revealing, unveiling energy, in this sign of I am Aries, across the wheel from the Super Galactic Center at 2 of Libra. Now feel, if you will, this energy of Libra. Libra is our connections, how we connect to the world around us. It's our relationships, how we relate to the world around us. Libra rules the 7th house. It's the first house as we breach in the astrological wheel, the horizon. We come having done all of our shadow work for that phase anyways, into walking the walk in the world, in our relationships with our parents, with our siblings, with our spouses, with our friends, with our co-workers, writ large, the world around us. So then when we feel that this super galactic center, our center of our neighborhood of galaxies exists within Libra, we can feel some of what we're connecting to here. It is not simply our belonging here on Earth, in our city or town, in our family, in our culture, but our belonging in this solar system, our belonging in this galactic system, the Milky Way, and then further, our belonging in the entire neighborhood of galaxies and on in the entire all universe. So as the sun continues its movement, it then crosses through Saturn at 4 degrees of Aries. Now, when this Sun-Saturn conjunction is happening, we also find a sextile to Pluto at 5 degrees of Aquarius. And then, so we'll say 23, 25 through 25 of March. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we could say, even into Thursday. And I'm sharing these dates, but it's important to remember this is the current of energy that's moving us from the Pisces new moon, Aries equinox, to the April Fool's Day, Libra full moon on April 1st. So we're really playing with a current of energy that's navigating, as opposed to this is happening at this exact day, at this exact time. Because how we feel, how we work with the energy, some of us run a little ahead of the energy and we start to feel the things that are coming so that we can lay foundations. Some of us feel it in the midst of it so that we can navigate what's happening. And some of us actually start to feel it as it's shifting out because we're bringing the next phase into being. We're helping shift that energy out to make space for the next. So try not to get too caught up on the exact dates of things, though they can be very helpful for us in navigating, right? Understanding our place in the grand schema. If you are able to connect in with the exact moment that a conjunction is happening, you can feel as you test the waters whether your job is to be ahead of the line be in the soup of it, or to help shift it out at the end. And this can help you find your place in this new era, what your collective and your individual nature is templated for. That way, you're not trying to run somebody else's job. You're doing your unique job, your perfect alignment. All right, with that anchored through. So yeah, then we have the Sun and Saturn coming into their conjunction. The Saturn will be at 4. And then as we get to the 25th, we find the Cancer Maiden Moon, that half moon cycle, where the Sun is at 5 of Aries and the Moon is at 5 of Cancer. As this is happening, the Sun is exactly sextile now to Pluto in Aquarius. And we're still feeling all of that energy of Saturn. We're still feeling all of that energy of Neptune. We're still feeling all of that energy of the Super Galactic Center. We're moving through a cycle. And all of this is part of an Eris stellium. That stellium, remember, is more than 3 bodies in a single sign at a single time. So we have stelliums going on really heavily in Pisces still and in Aries. We're in the beginning and in the closing chapter. We're still moving that energy. And all of this is really building momentum. We talked about this in the last update. We're in this year of building momentum. You can feel that with a fire horse, right? Chugga, 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 chugga. It's horsepower, burning away anything that isn't going to be in alignment for us as we move into 2027 and that eclipse of the century on August 2nd there. More on that as we continue weaving throughout this universal timeline. So, when we feel the energy of this Aries Cancer square, and now if you have anything between 1 and 7, let's say, degrees of the cardinal signs, so that would be Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, you can start to feel how these things, you can look and you can feel how these things might be affecting you. My personal sun is at 6 degrees of Cancer. This is impactful for my outward expression, we could say. The stuff going on with Chiron's a whole other story for me too, personally. Part of what we're coming into, part of what we're stoking the flames of, is our capacity to stand in our light, to shine our light, to express our truth wholly, to find that inner reservoir. Remember, the moon connects us to what is within us. We can call this unconscious. We can call this subconscious. We can also call this supraconscious. Because supraconsciousness is not something outside of us. It is something that exists innately within us. And we could find that in our solar plexus heart space, amongst other. It's in there, right? So we are connecting to that innate belonging. And when we feel the movement with the Super Galactic Center, it's as if the all universe is saying, and all of our galactic neighbors are saying, you're one of us. Come, you belong, you're whole, let's go. And when we feel that during this week, Mercury, having turned around and starting to move forward again, is doing so very slowly, especially for Mercury. So this whole week, Mercury is still conjunct the North Node, but now moving forward in Pisces, which means also opposite the South Node in Virgo. But there is a lot of players with Mercury there around 7, 8, 9 of Pisces. We have Vesta at 7. We have the Hathars at 7. Vesta, our passions, that eternal flame that ignites what we are and who we are, that speaks to our passion, our desire, our capacity to call in our soul light. The Hathars, that universal mother energy, the golden diamond white light, the mother goose. The Hathars remind us that we are part of a community, as they are as well, but that our community is meant to be more individualized so that all of the more homogeneous communities can start to feel the playground of separateness in union. So here we have Vesta and the Hathars, and they're conjunct the North Node. And then we find Shiva foundations, that divine masculine presence just on the other side of the North Node, exactly conjunct Medusa. Shiva invites us to feel held, invites us to feel the tapestry of the all universe, all of these sacred geometries and all of the movements, giving us a stage on which to play. We find ourselves secure, held, safe. And isn't that also what Cancer is all about? So we're transcending old ideas of what safety means so that we can embody more wholly. That's that South Node in Virgo energy. Embody more wholly the truth that we are part of it all, that everything's connected, and nobody's really playing without a net. So Medusa then helps us to reclaim. There's a reclamation of our passion, of our desire. Remember, part of the reason in the mythos of Medusa that she was cursed was because she was too out there with her passions, with her desires, and her creative oomph, right? She had that movement with that Kundalini energy. So here we have this divine masculine energy holding in union with this Kundalini serpentine energy of Medusa, and they're working with Mercury as well, helping us to find those places and to express ourselves as we continue this forward march, to find the courage within us to express ourselves. This is not a time for deep, penetrative shadow work, though there's always time for deep, penetrative shadow work, honestly. But part of what we're really doing in this week is finding our footing in the new, really coming into alignment with our purpose. When we feel Vesta and Mercury bookending the North Node here during this Cancer Maiden Moon, we're invited to feel how we communicate with ourselves as well. Now, I have a special offering in Circle. If it calls to you, you can go check it out. There will be a link below. It's a conscious consumption. So transmission. It's a frequency presentation, kind of a master class where we, in a hands-on way, explore how we take things into ourselves, what we're taking into ourselves, and what we're sharing. Consumption is a two-way street. And it's not simply about the food or the water that we take in, it's the words, it's the sights, it's the sounds that we take in as well, the energy, and how we communicate, not just with ourselves, but with the world around us, with every particle around us. So again, link below if it calls, amazing. Then we have Mars still in Pisces, working with Jupiter in Cancer and trine. And here we're expanding that power center, expanding our access to our power center. Can you feel how every movement in this current, every crest, every little boulder, every little twig in the river that's flowing through this current is inviting us to step into our power, into our truth, into our light, to speak from that place of sovereignty. Mars and Jupiter have been playing for a bit, so we're going to kind of call them in and then say thank you. As we come into Venus, I said that before that we were going to talk a little bit more about the Galactic Center. During this current, we find Venus working with Eris and Chiron. Also with Morgana, the asteroid name for Morgana, Morgana being the queen of the Fae. So we're starting to feel that elemental energy, feeling those places where we move through the chapel perilous, where we say yes to the hero's journey. And with this Venusian Eris Chiron conjunction, all in trine to the galactic center, we are magnetizing our capacity to create from within our wounds. Those places where we thought we didn't have enough, we were not enough, that drove us, that kindled the fire, that ignited us. I'm going to share a personal story here. I have an uncle who, when I was in eighth grade, asked me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And at that time, I spoke my truth and I said, I really want to be a fashion designer. I was designing, I was drawing, I was doing all of the things, and I was really into fashion. I have a Libra rising, so that can help you understand a little bit of that. And he looked at me and he said, "Look at who you are and look at where you came from." I did not, I come from very, very humble beginnings, we could say, from the capitalist patriarchal perspective. "You need to aim lower," he said to me. He said those exact words, "You need to aim lower." And rather than crushing me, now this is something that no adult should ever say to a child, in my personal opinion. However, that statement, rather than crushing me because of my unique nature, it spurned me. And I spent much of my middle adult's life proving that I could be whatever I wanted to be. I went and traveled around the country, and I have traveled around the world, and I did this job and I did that job, and jobs that nobody who comes from where I come from should have been able to get, just to show that where I started is not the place that I belonged. Or, said another way, there was absolutely no reason why I should aim lower. Now, this is part of what we're talking about when we're talking about allowing our wound to be our fire, to feel the passion. We sometimes will equate this to that grit of sand in the oyster shell that becomes the pearl, right? It's the coagulation and the movement of energies that helps to spurn something on in alchemical language. We're allowing, not in a wounded way. Now, a lot of what I was doing was in that wounded way because I was young and I was moving through things in that way. I was like, I'll show you. But finding those places where those wounds exist, and then through a rising up of purpose and power, saying, I am enough. And I am allowed, and I am whole, and I am able to magnetize that which is my truth. I am able to attract that which is true for me and that which I need. I am able to be the whole expression of me everywhere I go. So Eris, also chaotic creation, and will not stand for injustice. Pam Gregory likes to call her the street fighter, right? When we feel Eris and Chiron and Venus all moving together, and they will be this whole week, right up through that Libra full moon on April Fool's Day, in trine to the galactic center, we are remembering, we are invited to remember to tap into that current and feel how much burns within us, how much creative potential burns within us, how much we long to yes to our passions and desires, and then to yes to that yes. All of this is to say that we are in a marvelous creational playground right now. We are navigating energies where we're able to play with how and what we choose to create in this world. This Piscean and Aries stellium that is shifting out of the Piscean as we move through this next quarter of the year and more into the Aries and then into the Taurus, will be inviting, carrying, creating that Shiva-like foundation for us to play at what we want to create in this world. Might we suggest doing so in concert with the heart? And with that statement, may this be in the highest good of all sentience. May this be in the highest good of all sentience. We really played in our inner sanctum over on Circle at the Blue Flame Apothecary with these creational energies during that liminal period between the Pisces new moon and the Aries equinox. If becoming a member of the inner sanctum calls to, amazing. It would be my honor to welcome you. And also in the community space, there's that conscious consumption, frequency presentation. What are you creating? What are you called to create? What is your divine purpose in this moment. Remember, they change and flow and flux what we're here to do, how we're here to do it as we evolve in this constantly evolving all universe. What you were purpose driven towards even 3 days ago may no longer be your truth. Seek higher expressions. Aim higher. You have what it takes to do so. And with that, and as always, in the always, so much and many loves to you from the dimensions of the all and beyond the beyond. Please do share, like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. I would love to hear, perhaps even in the comments, you can share what it is you're feeling called to create in this dawning new. What is singing to you? Thank you.